We're into week 4 now of looking at John Ortberg's book, Soul Keeping, caring for the most important part of you. And today we deal with that topic of sin and its effect on the soul. It's important to understand what is sin, and sometimes we just try to explain it away and not give any attention to it. But we know from Scripture and from life, sin is everything that hinders our relationship to God, to others, and to ourselves. Sin have this ability to really destroy our wholeness. Sin is not only something we do to hurt others in our relationships, but it's also something we avoid doing. We can watch on television and see stories of children who are starving or suffering, or but we can also look at things that we don't do that are good, that are necessary. And that is volunteering to help or to care for others. Doing the kinds of things that are supportive, sharing our resources or our finances to help people in need. It's interesting that church folks sometimes don't take very seriously Jesus' call for us to care for the very least of these. It connects us with the needs of others. It connects us with our own need. And so today we're going to look at the influence of sin on the condition of our souls. Studies show that prayer, meditation, and confession actually have the power to rewire the brain in a way that can make us less self-focused and more aware of how God sees us. But these impediments of sin, they're not easily dealt with. Peter even wrote, "Dear friends, I urge you as foreigners and exiles to abstain from sinful desires which wage war against your soul." Peter wasn't talking about the ordinary consequences of life, but the soul-destroying effects of disintegration. The ability for our soul to unite our sense of connection between our thoughts and our feelings, our will, and the actions of our bodies. A Duke professor named Dan Ariely was astounded by how widespread people's tendency to cheat and be self-centered and to lie. He said, first of all, we want to receive selfish gain, and we want to avoid pain. That's certainly one activity that we focus on. So much for that we're willing to lie or cheat and deceive just to get that. But we also want to look in the mirror and think well of ourselves, good and honest and honorable. And these two motives are in conflict with each other. The fascinating thing that's been done is research is looking how willing we are to protect ourselves and cheat or deceive others in order to look better. In fact, studies have been done with college students to show this, that we find that more often the end of semesters or near final exams is a common time for close relatives to die. And guess who is the most popular relative to pass away at this time of year? Sorry, Grandma, but it's you. And actually, research in Eastern College showed that there's a tendency that grandmothers are 10 more times more likely to die at a midterm and 19 more times likely to die before a final exam. Over and over again we're seeing this. So what it comes out to, the message to senior citizens is don't let your kids go to college because you're more likely to pass away. It just points out the struggle that we have for maintaining integrity and doing what's right. But then when we give up to this sinful, selfish act of being deceitful in order to maintain the appearance of being good. What research has shown us is that sin becomes a slippery slope, and one activity of deception can easily lead even to more. And all of a sudden, we really don't care, as long as we have the perception that we're being good or we're liked. In fact, what we find is that this is an ongoing problem historically for humanity. I mean, think in terms of how we move into these devastating things historically with Rwanda or the Third Reich or North Korea or even some of the things that's happened historically in America. The soul only bears so much weight, but there's an ache within us to do what's good. And there's where the hope is. God places in us a desire, sometimes pain, to lead us back into a sense of what is whole and right and good and meaningful. So there's this kind of God-given ache for us to do what's right. I can't help but think of my own dog who comes, when I come home and enter the door, she's loving me and excited about me being there. And it's like the old adage, God, just help me to be the man that my dog thinks I am. So how do we move forward? Well, there's hope. And that sense of ache for what's right and good can lead us. And by the sense of direction of God being in our lives, there's a way forward. How do we nurture the soul? How do we become more integrated? How do we honor God more with our life? And that's what we're going to focus on next week.